Hi, everybody. My name is Orlando Zuniga. Some of my friends call me Buo. And here we also have.
Natalie Ronnie Marie Zacharias. But my friends just call me Natalie.
Perfect. So what are we doing, Natalie? What's a topic that we're sharing today?
We have been,
Yeah,
Orlando and I have been in the process of creating a I feel like it's a very beautiful, exciting um, journey for community centered around the ancestors, our ancestors,
that's
and
right.
centered around community. It's
Yes.
not just about the ancestors; it's about us who are living now and how we can transform um, ourselves, our own journeys, our families, our ancestral lineages, our stories. And it's something that Orlando and I are very passionate about and very excited about because we are integrating and blending not only the psychological aspect of the healing of trauma and the growth and transformation that can occur, but also spiritual practices, which is something that both of us are passionate about, finding the ways that spirit and psychology intersect. I think I can
Yes.
speak for both of us in saying that.
Mhm.
And so yeah, we've been cooking up this beautiful offering for a few months now, and are very happy to share it with all of you. So Orlando, I don't know if you want to go ahead, take the mic and share,
Sure.
whatever's on your
Absolutely.
heart about it.
Thank you for introducing some of it, and I'll add to what you're sharing here of how this collaboration came to be, but not just that, it's more of what the intention is and who it might be for, this material, this work. I mean, I hope it's for everybody, and it might call some more than others. Initially, this began with a conversation around how I'm witnessing the lack of eldership, if that's a word, of elders in the psychedelic space and the community of psychedelics. So I'm a practicing and a licensed clinical psychotherapist, and I work with spiritual psychology quite a bit. And I've been navigating the world of psychedelics in Mexico and in the States predominantly, and it's in that space. It's radically different how we facilitate in Mexico versus how we facilitate in America, in the United States. It feels like we're trying to find our way in the States, and so this is an offering to all beings, and especially those to feel they don't really have a connection to their ancestors, to ancient, indigenous or elder wisdom from teachings that go way beyond. And my lineage, your lineage, everyone's lineage. So this isn't
Yeah.
just like Orlando is going to teach this thing. This is more an invitation for us to be in community and teach each other and support each other about what is it that's being passed down from our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, and our ancestors, and so on and so forth. So this is really information and material about how to work with ancestral energy that's very present. Having been doing psychotherapeutic work here for over a decade now as a licensed person, and personally much more than that, even before becoming licensed, I've realized how powerful generational traumas can shape our lives. And so doing this work for ourselves is key and part of that, not only as an individual, but also as a facilitator and as an elder, of getting to really know how to work with elder energies that maybe we didn't even have contact with. A lot of the times, I tend to witness experiences of people struggling with things that actually don't belong to them personally in their own incarnation here in this physical existence, but more so something that was passed on by their parents and then their
Mhm.
parents' parents, by the environment, by
Yeah.
the animals, by, all of these different things of the impact of being alive and what it means to be able to honor those that came before us. Again, not just humanoids, not just human beings, but also nature itself, and
Hmm.
others, Star Nation, even, and we can even get into that, what that means and what our ancestors saw as Star Nation to be. Now, there are some people who are really going to resonate with some of the material because they've already been on that path and they've studied it. So this might be a revisitation for that, or it could be even a refinement of that. And then there's going to be people who are pretty brand new to all of this, and all are welcome to this space. Because if you're more in the advanced part of this, then you are an elder and you're just connecting with us and maybe even supporting this community to some respect. And if you're not necessarily, maybe you're an elder in training, because we kind of all are to some degree. At some
I
point, we
love
will
that.
be an elder.
It's just so true. And something that a friend of mine always says is like we want to be good ancestors. I love that, elders in training, because we all are our elders in training.
Oh,
And
absolutely. And
a future ancestor too.
future ancestors. Like, one thing I recognize sometimes is children. I always see children as ancestors in new bodies.
Oh yeah.
I oftentimes see children as like these elevated beings who just, they've come back from the ethereal space with all of the latest organic technology, not artificial.
Yeah.
Okay, to be very
Yeah.
clear. The all of the latest organic spiritual intelligence that's coming into form, and how they're here to really teach us. And from my perspective and experience, a lot of children get shushed and silenced a lot of the times, and then there's so much to learn from these little ones. They speak so much authenticity and so much truth, and so it's holding space for them as well. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And do you have
totally.
anything to add to that? I don't think we've spoken about that so much, but we can add to that too.
Oh man. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. This topic, for lack of a better word, that we are um devoting our hearts, our intentions, our prayers to, which, ancestors, is ripe with so much wisdom, medicine, transformation. Oh man, it's like words don't even don't even cover it. Um, and yeah, we haven't talked about children being the living ancestors reborn and the wisdom that they carry. I like that. I love how you said that they came up with upgrades, organic upgrades, the technology that they have, the organic technology. It's so true. You see it all the time with children who come, especially children who are being born these days. Um, but
Big
something I
time.
do want to say it again.
I said big time. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Something I do want to say recently, it was a few weeks ago, I saw on a post on Instagram, someone, I don't remember exactly what the post said, but it was something to the fact of like they didn't understand the worship of ancestors, like practices that worshipped ancestors, because and then there was like it's a meme that they wrote. They're like, I don't even like hanging out with my family members. Why would I want to hang out with my ancestors? And it made me laugh because I could totally understand what that person was saying, and at the same time knowing when, well, first off, you don't worship the ancestors first and foremost, like that's like, that makes me giggle because I'm just imagining someone in the future worshiping me and I'd be like, what are you doing, child? You're doing this wrong. But first and foremost, it's not, when we speak about like working with the ancestors, it's building a relationship. And some of our ancestors are unwell, unhealthy. They may have caused a lot of trauma when they were living. I've have my own unwell ancestors that, through ritual and practices that I've learned from my teachers, um, I've learned how to support their healing, even though they're on the other side, so that they are no longer haunting the lineage as they do. And when there's a unwell ancestor, that's something that happens. Is that it's another layer of looking at the lens of trauma and how it gets passed down, because you have the actual trauma that occurred that got passed down on the DNA. And maybe even like if someone was abusive, for example, and let's just say like I had a parent whose grandparent was abusive, And that parent still holds the trauma of that experience, even though that grandparent is no longer living. Um, what I've done is seen like, okay, that grandparent isn't living anymore, but the residuals of their actions is still existing within my parent, but also just like the energy, like it's almost like there was like heaviness around it. And so I looked at it, okay, well, I'm curious, a naturally curious person, as an experiment, what would happen if I supported this ancestor to transition from being an unwell ancestor to a well, fully transitioned spirit being who's no longer holding those, it's heaviness. That's the best way I can describe it. And it was truly remarkable to see the changes that happened with my parent who was affected by that grandparent without knowing that this is what I was doing. I didn't tell this parent that I was doing these things. Um, and it's just really that for me was like, oh, okay, this work is profound. Like there really can be some really deep, profound healing, even in the face of the most darkest aspects of humanity. And so that's what excites me about working with the ancestors, because it is building a relationship. It's not, again, it's not worshiping them. You don't worship them, but it's building a relationship with your ancestors as you do with like any living being. It's building a relationship and being in reciprocity with one another and supporting one another, all for a joint agreement that life is important and that you value life or you value love, whatever that is that you value, having that be what's the word, yeah, like a joint desire to be in devotion to, if that makes any sense. And so um to the person that created that meme, so another person who does a lot of ancestral work really beautifully answered that made a comment that maybe that person was open to hearing it, maybe not, it's all good, but it was just very interesting because it made me laugh because I know a lot of people think that way. Like, I don't like being with my family members, why would I want to have any kind of anything to do with my ancestors? And then the truth of the matter is, whether you want to have anything to do with your ancestors or not, guess what? You are affected by them. They are very present in your life, with or without your awareness. So
Agreed.
that's something for me, is exciting about this work. And, looking at what led me into the path of, becoming a therapist and like going to school was very much looking at my family and seeing the patterns. I saw them as patterns that were passed down, and whether it's relationship issues within family members, um, ways of coping with stress that are unhealthy, trauma, like a lot of different layers of things that I was seeing as repetitive patterns within my extended family. I was like, this is interesting. Why is this consistent? And it made me really curious. I'm like, well, I wonder what trauma occurred in our lineage that has led to this thing being a repetitive thing that's just getting passed down. And it felt very apparent and important that I have the awareness about this, so it's my duty to do something about it. And which led me to going back to school and learning about all the things that I've learned about since then. Feels like lifetimes ago. And so that's why I'm really excited about this, because I feel like there's a lot of nuggets and wisdoms that both of us have picked up along the way in our own personal journeys that we are overjoyed to share with people. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing all
Mhm.
that. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's so much more to share too, that we both will contain in this one video here, but we will add more to that sharing over time. We'll talk a little bit more about the logistics now and what is it that we're going to be learning, how long, the container itself, and Again, who it might be for, we've mentioned. I'll reiterate that as well. And our start date of when we're going to be doing this group, this community online. So it will be an online community initially, with an option at the end to have, and I'll let Natalie speak about this more, with an option at the end of doing an ancestralization ritual, which is what we're intending to be the focus at the end. It is optional, but there's a lot of information before we do that for people to learn ahead of time. And so it's optional also because some people might not be able to meet us in person for whatever reason, and they might just want the information. And that's what we're going to be doing with the online journey that you're going to be doing with us. And the online journey itself is, can you tell us a little bit more, Natalie, about the logistics of like maybe how many weeks and also our start date, things like that?
Yes, so totally. So it'll be 10 weeks, the online journey. We'll meet every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the start date, the first time we'll be meeting is September 11th, and it'll go until I believe it's November 13th. And the each class, or each time we get together, each gathering is more appropriate. It will be 2 hours long with a break in between. So no worries for those who are like, oh, 2 hours is such a long time. You will have a time to set aside to have a human break. And we are launching June 1st, and the deadline to submit your application is July 15th. So anytime between June 1st and July 15th, application time is open. We are offering this journey on a sliding scale, and we also are offering payment plan options if you're in need of that. And we have a website that we are sharing along with this video that you can check out to learn more information, and to find the application form to apply. And the sliding scale is from $500 to $900 for this journey. And as Orlando was mentioning, we are doing this 10-week journey. And after the fact, we'll also be offering an in-person ancestralization retreat. We will share more about that later on. And that will be next year in March, I believe. Yes, March. We are planning it for March of next year, 2024. So for right now, we are just putting our attention and time into focusing on the online ancestral journey called A Journey to Reclaim Ancestral Wisdom. And so that very much came from a place of wanting folks to really be able to deep dive into their own processes, have healing done, make it accessible for as many people as possible, um, and and yeah, because not everyone will be able to go to an in-person retreat either for financial reasons or traveling reasons or logistic reasons, whatever it may be. And so we wanted to create this opportunity for people to still have deep healing and also prepare if you do decide to come to the ancestralization. So did I miss anything? I think that's everything.
Yeah, just only that we will be sharing a portion of our proceeds to an Indigenous organization. Do you want to share
Oh
a little
yes.
bit more about that as well, please? That's
Yeah,
important
we
to
will
us as
be.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the like something we will talk about within the journey is about decolonizing and um, not only looking at like our human ancestors, but like the ancestors of the land. For example, I'm calling from what is called New Jersey in the US, and this is unceded Lenni Lenape people lands. These are the lands of the Lenni Lenape people. And so something that is important to both of us is um, supporting the original ancestors of the land. And so we chose the Navajo Water Project as the organization that we will be donating um, the proceeds to a percentage of the proceeds from everyone's tuition going towards that organization. And if you want to learn more about the Navajo Water Project, which I encourage you to, on the website, I have a link for the Navajo Water Project there. So you can find more information there. It's a really great organization. And yeah, and water is life, and everyone deserves to have access to clean water. So I'm excited about that.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I
Yeah.
know the ancestors are really excited because ever since we've uh, opened the portal for this um, journey that we're going on, they have been
Mhm.
very loud and
That's like an understatement. Yes.
right,
Yeah, totally.
vocal, loud, making their presence known and their joy. So yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the unknowns of this container for me personally too, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of magic being shared in the group, in the gatherings that we have. A lot of synchronicities, a lot of mysteries. There's a lot I feel like that's going to be showing up here. And because I'm already experiencing that on my end with things that are
Mm-hmm.
happening, as you said, they're being vocal. Agree, and not just like necessarily like in an audible way, but in a very physical way of
Mm-hmm.
pushing and showing up in unexpected ways. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm looking forward to supporting others going through that similar journey and that process. And for me, my hope and intention is to really call out to those who are in the position of supporting others as well, like coaches, therapists, healers, curanderos, mothers, fathers, like pretty much anybody who's supporting community, because we all have ancestors to some degree, and it's I feel like it's information that has been lost in some circles, in some families. We're all busy trying to survive, working, trying to maintain the modern life. If we're in Western culture, we might be a little bit more connected to ancestralization if we're in a different part of the world. And all people are welcome. Again, all people are welcome. The intention initially was for those, and is still for those as well, to not exclude anyone else. For those that want to connect with the power of ancestralization and how to utilize that for, as Natalie mentioned, for our own individual healing, for the healing of our families, of our communities, of our neighbors, of our friends, and of our clients too, of our clients. And again, I mentioned that when this started, it was a psychedelic relationship with the plants for me, that where this really was coming up of, oh, the ancestors are showing up during this really powerful process. And there's a lot of therapists and coaches that are being trained. I just haven't really been seeing them being trained with ancestral techniques or wisdoms or rituals or ceremonies. And I feel like that's the missing piece here. And we'd love to share that piece here with the world, with the community.
Yeah.
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 And this is for people who are, maybe they're having really difficult time with their families and just kind of fed up. And maybe you're like me, you're looking for like, what, what the heck is happening here? And like, how do I change this? Because this is a lot and I need to change
Absolutely.
it. And
Yeah.
you're welcome to join us because
Yeah.
it's something that we do have that ability to change. Even if our family members are not willing to heal, I'm saying this from a place of experience. Even though your family members may not be willing to heal, they don't want to hear it. They're like, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
too sensitive. Like, get over it." Whatever they may be saying, you can still heal the lineage, and um, it's really, uh, it's miraculous what can happen when one part of the system takes responsibility for healing, not because you want to change anyone, because that's not, you can't do it that way. You just
Right.
want to heal yourself because you're tired of feeling how you're feeling, and then you take responsibility for your healing, and as an effect, it's just this miraculous thing that happens, that the system changes.
Correct.
And you can see, maybe someone who was like very like, I'm never gonna heal, I'm never gonna, you're crazy, you're so sensitive, whatever it may be, or that's too woo woo, or whatever things that people say. Next thing you know, that person's like, hey, did you hear about this healing modality, or this, I just learned this thing. You're like, wait, what? Who are you? I'm telling you, it happens. The person who's going to be most resistant to healing sometimes can be the one who actually starts taking the like picking up the ball, so to speak, and running with it. So um,
Agreed.
this journey is for the full spectrum of humanity. It's
Yes.
really for people who just want
Yeah.
change, who are seeing that this, there's value in this kind of healing. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah,
That beautifully. Thank you. Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
welcome.
there's and you spoke to a piece, and then maybe I'll wrap it up with that because I don't want to go on and on. There's so much to share still, and that's okay. Oh, the woo. There's going to be a lot of woo for sure, and there's also going to be a lot of information that's research backed with how we carry the DNA of our ancestors within us, and how emotions and mental health actually is influenced by this DNA, by the epigenetics. And
Mhm.
so that information will be shared. And because we're a part of a system, we are factoring in family systems therapy, a very powerful researched therapeutic and psychology, and so much more. There's tools in there. We're going to talk about genograms and how to really work with your system, even if it doesn't really, if it's not embodied right now. So there's, it's going to be balanced. Like I said, I love the woo, so there's going to be that too. We're not going to get rid of that, but there's also going to be at the same time really just social scientific information that for those individuals who really need that logical, really just evidence-based experience, that's going to be a part of it too. So we're going to bring it all in together. We're going to tie it in, and we're going to bring it in with community as well. Okay, so
Yeah. And
well,
lastly, before we end,
yes. Mhm.
you don't have to know who your ancestors are to do ancestral healing. I just want to give that nugget, because sometimes in the process you can discover things. I didn't know who my ancestors were, like who they were, names and stuff like that. I know where my parents come from. Um, and it wasn't until I started set the intention to want to do ancestral healing that the names and stuff started to appear in a very physical, like not just like downloads. Actually found a book that had the names. So things like that happen. And so I wanted to add that too, because I know some resistance people have around ancestral work is that they just don't know their ancestors, or maybe they don't talk to their family members, or maybe they were adopted, or all the other ways that we can be cut off from our lineages. So you can close us out now, Orlando, so we're not
Yeah,
on this
thank you.
video for long.
Yeah, thank you. So well, if you have questions, because I'm sure you will, we will have a website, and we'll share that website with you. And we're also going to invite you to email us if you have any questions, or I mean, even if you just want to sign up and need help with that as well. So I invite you to really contact us and reach us through the website, and through our emails. And do you have the website with you, Natalie?
I
The
will link it at the
URL?
bottom of this
Okay,
video.
great. Perfect. Thank you. And so, well, welcome to those we haven't met. Looking forward to meeting you. To those we've already met, welcome back, and looking forward to getting to know you further. And thank you for your time today. Looking forward to getting to know you further. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.